As the Black Diamond Trail turns a corner, we get our first views of the eastern part of the park.
We're looking down the valley where the mining town of Stewartville used to be. So they had their own railroad, just like the other valleys. This one was called the Empire Railroad, and it went out through this valley and then went back north to Antioch and ended up at the S Street Pier down there.
Stewartville's heyday was short, from the 1860s to about 1900. After that, the buildings here and in Black Diamond's other coal mining communities were dismantled and moved to towns along the Delta. But in the 1920s, Black Diamond came alive again when a sand mine opened up, not in the vista we're looking at here, but back in Summersville. Its target was the Damangene sandstone on this very ridge, which provided the pure silica sand that was used for everything from casting metal to making glass. The sand mining era ended about 20 years later for the same reason the coal mining era ended, because the operations couldn't compete with other sources of coal and sand. Local workers were displaced by competition in an increasingly interconnected economy. Let's start with Ken Lavin's story about the coal.
Contra Costa became a big wheat exporting locale. And the ships sailed up to Washington State and Oregon with wheat. And the ships were empty on the way back. They needed ballast. Well, this was just the time the Washington coal mines were getting started with much higher quality coal. So they threw that on the ship for ballast, and that spelled the doom for the coal mines here. So it was Contra Costa County's rise as a wheat exporting hub, and also the mines getting more expensive, pumping out the water. The deeper you get, the more difficult it gets. Then the sand mines had almost the same experience. The sand mines went from early 1920s to just after World War II. And the story goes that shipping food and supplies under the Marshall Plan over to Europe, they needed ballast on the way back, and in went sand from Belgium, which was higher quality than the sand here. So it goes under the heading, no good deed goes unpunished.
Now head to stop 10 at the junction of the Black Diamond Trail and the Manhattan Canyon Trail. It's about half a mile ahead on your right. It should take you 10 or 15 minutes to get there.